After months of jury selection, testimony finally started today against the man charged with murdering the Kaufman County District Attorney, his top assistant, and his wife as well. Former Justice of the Peace Eric Williams sat quietly through the first day's testimony with a paperback Bible in front of him. The victim's relatives, including the DA's mother, sat a few rows behind. That's Mike McClellan's mom. Williams is on trial first for the murder of Mike McClellan's wife, Cynthia. Prosecutors say they have shell casings from the couple's home that match a live round from a Seagoville storage unit rented by Williams and his wife, Kim. The lead prosecutor, Bill Werski, opened the case describing the motive that Eric Williams wanted revenge against the two men who prosecuted him for computer theft. He also described in graphic detail, that being the prosecutor, the murder of Cynthia McClellan inside her home.
He comes in with an AR-15. He cuts down a defenseless Cynthia McClellan in a blizzard of bullets, which culminates in a single massive fatal shot to the top of her skull.
Some of the most powerful testimony, that was powerful, but even more so today, came from Cynthia McClellan's son-in-law. He's a Dallas police officer, and he and his parents were the first to discover what happened to the McClellans inside their home.
I walked in, took approximately 2 to 3 steps inside the residence, and my my parents were behind me, and my mom immediately hit the ground. She just fell to her knees and started crying. And then she pointed and said, "There's shell casings right under your feet."
This is a death penalty case, and Eric Williams' wife, Kim, is expected to testify against him sometime in the next few days as the prosecutors put on their case. Defense attorney and former McKinney police officer Pete Schulte is in with some thoughts. He's been keeping an eye on this case, obviously, for the last few months. Pretty straightforward, a case of revenge. That's how the prosecutors are laying it out here. What's the defense's move here? With how the prosecutors laid it out, we haven't seen it yet, but they say they've got a ton of evidence that all points to Eric Williams. So what's the defense move?
You know, they say they've got loads and loads of evidence that's going to point to Eric Williams. So basically, this case really comes into a punishment case. I mean, they're seeking the death penalty, and a win for the defense team in this particular case is to try to save Eric Williams from the death penalty. So that's kind of the the thing that we're looking at as far as the defense attorney's perspective. I mean, we saw that a lot today with some of the testifying witnesses, that the defense didn't have a whole lot of questions. Today was a lot of housekeeping stuff.
And the defense did not make an opening statement. You're in the courtroom all the time. When you say it's going to be kind of a sentencing thing, do they not want to offend jurors then? They're like, you can take this all in, we don't want to waste your time. And let that kind of play. Is that the play they're kind of making?
Yeah, because basically, if you want the jury to be paying attention to certain pieces of evidence, you want to alert them to that before the prosecution calls their first witness. And we saw today with the defense deferring their opening statement until their case in chief, which will be after all the prosecution's evidence, that there may be their strategy is they really want to focus on what is a jury really going to hear, and this is going to come about punishment versus the facts or guilt and innocence.
I just want to hit on that. So deferring, does that mean they can then make a long opening statement before
Absolutely.
they put on?
It's rare. I mean, it doesn't happen around. Most people want to counteract. Most lawyers want to counteract what the prosecution has to say, what the defense are going to say, so they kind of give the jury a pathway to what the evidence is going to show. But again, with Cynthia McClellan's case, they don't have to prove any motive like revenge or anything. They just have to prove that two people were killed at the same time by Eric Williams. It's a lot easier case to prove than Mike McClellan or Mark Hassett.
Okay, let's talk about I think a little kind of nuanced bit here. The judge asked about a show on CBS, Criminal Minds. It aired November 19th, and they made a mention in talking about this scenario on TV that Eric Williams shot a couple of prosecutors in Texas. The judge wanted to know if anybody had seen that a couple of weeks ago. Why is that important? Would he have excluded some jurors and brought in alternates over that? What do you think?
Well, a lot of the jury selection is individual voir dire in a capital murder case. So they're bringing in individual jurors, probably up to about 3 a day. This is what happened the last few months. But what they're really wanting to know, has there been outside influences on this jury? And I believe this Criminal Minds episode stated that Eric Williams killed 2 prosecutors. And it was a definitive statement. So I think...
Well, so did the prosecutor just today.
He's entitled to, because they're in the courtroom and they know that they have to prove it. But that was part of the... I don't think, even if they had seen the show, that they would have been disqualified as a juror. But I think it was a valid question for Judge Snipes to ask.
Okay, Pete Schulte, thanks. We'll have you in over the next couple of weeks as this thing plays out. Thank you very much.